Well, good morning and welcome to Everyday Sunday. This is Pastor Keith Hodges. And again, Merry Christmas. It is 3 days until Christmas. So it is Tuesday, the 22nd of 2020. And I hope that you are gearing up for an amazing holiday with your family. And I know it's going to be a little different this year with quarantine and isolation and separation. But I hope that you reach out and connect to your family to the best of your ability, whatever that looks like. And let me just encourage you this morning. Focus on what you can do, not on what you can't do. When we focus on what we can't do, we always get discouraged and distracted. But when we focus on what we can do, it empowers us to put our energy and our efforts into the things that bring life to us. So I want to just encourage you today. Focus on what you can do this holiday season. Don't be distracted by the things you can't do, and embrace and make the most of every moment that you have with your family, whether that's online, whether it's in person, whether it's through a Zoom call. Just enjoy the opportunities that you have today. Well, today we're going to continue our series, The ABCs of the Faith, 26 Keys to Unlocking a Life-Giving Faith. I hope you're enjoying this journey. Today we're on the letter L, and this was a no-brainer, right? When you think about the letter L and you think about what does it mean to have a life-giving faith, a kind of faith that changes your heart and transforms your world, it is really simple. It is love. It is the love of God, and it is a love for people that transforms our heart and changes our world for the glory of God. And so there's a couple foundational scriptures I want to just share with you today on love. Of course, John 3:16, I believe, is the foundation stone of our faith. It kind of underlines, it's been called the gospel in a nutshell. And we all know it. If you're a Christian and you've been saved for any amount of time, John 3:16 says, "For God so loved the world." God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever would believe in Him would not perish, but have everlasting life. God so loved the world. Love, as we're going to see today, is that divine motivator of heaven. Look at Mark chapter 12, verse 29 through 31. Jesus is asked the question by religious leaders, what is the greatest commandment? What is the most important commandment that we should be keeping? And look what Jesus says in Mark 12:29. Jesus replied, the most important commandment, or the greatest commandment, is this: listen, O Israel, the Lord our God is one and the only Lord, and you must love, listen to this, you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. And the second is equally important: love your neighbor as yourself. No other commandments is greater than these. Jesus said the greatest commandment, the most important commandment, is to love God. I heard a gentleman make this statement years ago. He said, if the greatest commandment is to love God, then the greatest sin must be not to love Him. The greatest sin must be to love something else more than we love God. So love is the key. It is hands down the most foundational key to living a life-giving faith. Love is the key to knowing God intimately. Love is the key to expressing and transforming our world through the love of God as we reach out and touch other people with God's amazing love. Let me give you a couple thoughts that the Holy Spirit just kind of stirred in my heart this morning. He said, number one, again, love is a divine motivator of heaven. Love is the purifier of our hearts. Think about that. Love purifies our hearts. It keeps our motives and our lives intact and in sync with the heart of God. Love keeps us spiritually and relationally balanced, right? Without love, all of a sudden, our spiritual life and our relationships get out of balance. Because think about this, without love, we become selfish. Without love, we become self-centered manipulators that simply just use other people for our own gain. Without love, think about this, without love, people become pawns on a board. Power and possessions literally become tools that we use to control other people's lives. Love is the divine motivator. Love is the purifier of our hearts that brings balance to our spiritual and relationships so we can live a life-giving faith. But the love, think about this, the love that comes from God, the love that honors God, it gives, it serves, and it sacrifices for others. The Apostle Paul probably sums it up best in 1 Corinthians chapter 13. We call it the love chapter. And this is really the greatest expression. 1 Corinthians 13 is not about marriage. It's really about ministry. Paul is talking about how can we operate in the gifts of the Spirit? How can we use the things that God has given us to touch the hearts and lives of other people and use it for the greater good? How can we take what we've been given and express it in a way that it has the greatest impact and the greatest influence on other people? And Paul says the key to great spiritual life and impact and influence is the love of God. Listen to what he says in 1 Corinthians 13. He says, if I could speak with all the languages of earth and of angels and didn't love others, I would only be a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. if I had the gift of prophecy and I could understand all of God's secret plans and possessed all knowledge, and if I had such faith that I could move mountains and didn't love others, I would be nothing. If I gave everything I have to the poor and even sacrificed my body, I could boast about it. But if I didn't love others, I would have gained nothing. Listen to what he says. Love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud. Love, listen to what he says, does not demand its own way. It is not irritable, and it keeps no record of being wrong. Love does not give up. Love does not rejoice in injustice, but rejoices when the truth wins out. Love never gives up. Love never loses faith. Love is always hopeful and endures through every circumstance. Prophecies and speaking in unknown languages and special knowledge will cease, but love will last forever. And then he sums it up in 1 Corinthians 13:13. Three things will last forever: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. God bless you today as we embrace a life-giving faith by embracing and living out the love of God in a very real and practical way. God bless you and Merry Christmas.